A $90,000 Escalade selling for $12,000, and it's coming straight from Enterprise. Deals like this don't happen unless a company is in trouble. Real trouble. Enterprise is cracking. These prices are the warning. Enterprise didn't get to the top by accident. Over the past few decades, it quietly built the largest vehicle fleet in the world. Over 2 million cars, trucks, and SUVs scattered across thousands of rental locations. For years, this fleet was a cash machine. Business travelers, airport rentals, and loyal customers kept the engines running. But the very strategy that made them powerful is now the reason they're on the brink. When the pandemic hit, Enterprise made a bold move. A gamble that seemed smart at the time. They bought hundreds of thousands of premium vehicles, from luxury SUVs to high-end sedans. The bet? Corporate travel would bounce back, and executives would flood airports needing top-of-the-line rentals. The problem? It never happened. Business travel isn't returning to pre-pandemic levels. In fact, it's down to around 60%, permanently changed by remote work, video calls, and corporate budget cuts. That collapse in demand hit Enterprise harder than any other rental company. The luxury cars they purchased now sit mostly idle, collecting dust and bleeding cash every day. What looked like a profitable expansion has turned into a massive liability. These vehicles aren't generating money, they're cost centers. Each parked Escalade, BMW, or Mercedes cost Enterprise hundreds of dollars a month in financing fees alone. And it gets worse. Enterprise is drowning under a mountain of debt. The loans they took out to expand their fleet are now suffocating the company. Analysts say they're sitting on tens of billions of dollars in liability, and every unsold or unrented vehicle adds to the pressure. They don't just owe money, they're paying interest on assets that aren't producing a dime. This is where floor plan financing comes into play. Every car on the lot is tied to a loan that Enterprise must service. For luxury vehicles, those costs are huge. A single Escalade or BMW can cost the company hundreds of dollars per month just to sit there. You can see why the figures are so concerning when you multiply it by tens of thousands of idle cars. What was supposed to be their crown jewel, a fleet of high-end vehicles ready to meet surging demand, has instead become a financial trap. Cars that should be assets, earning money for the company, have turned into liabilities that bleed cash daily. And this is why Enterprise is now forced to make deals that shock the market. Selling $90,000 SUVs for $12,000 isn't generosity, it's desperation. It's a full-blown crisis, and every deal of a lifetime for buyers is a warning signal that the rental giant may be running out of time. For years, Enterprise had a system that worked like clockwork. Cars would come in, get a few years of rental use, and then quietly leave the fleet. The process was slow, controlled, and profitable. Vehicles were sold through used car dealerships or auctions, frequently selling for almost their market value. Luxury SUVs, sedans, and trucks weren't fire sold. They were carefully cycled out to maximize returns. That's why the Enterprise kept its massive fleet running smoothly, without ever alarming the market. But now everything has changed. The company has shifted from careful management to rapid-fire liquidation. Cars that would normally take months to leave the lot are being dumped within weeks, and the first to go are the high-ticket luxury vehicles. We're talking Escalades, BMW X7s, Mercedes GLSs, vehicles that once represented prestige for renters, now being offered at prices that seem unreal. Some are even being sold for less than wholesale auction values, something unheard of for a company of this size. What's fueling this sudden rush? Enterprise is bleeding cash on every idle car, and they need to convert assets into fast cash before interest payments and floor plan financing crush them completely. Every day a luxury SUV sits unsold, Enterprise loses money. So the strategy is simple. Move the cars as quickly as possible, no matter the price. This is where Enterprise's liquidation centers come into play. These centers have existed quietly for years, but until recently, they weren't part of the public discussions. Now they've become the front line of a desperate financial battle. Vehicles arrive from across the country and are priced to sell fast, often before they even hit regular dealerships or online listings. The pace is dizzying, and buyers who act quickly can find deals that would have been impossible even a few months ago. The pattern is clear. Enterprise is no longer trying to squeeze every dollar from resale value. Instead, the focus is on fast turnover and cash flow, even if it means selling a $90,000 Escalade for $12,000. Every unit that leaves the lot lessens their financial burden, and they choose speed over strategy and liquidity above profit. For customers, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, but it's also a stark sign of the company's deepening crisis. Liquidation isn't just a sale. It's a signal that Enterprise is trying to survive, and every too-good-to-be-true deal is a glimpse into a company fighting to stay afloat. In a Midwest liquidation center, something caught everyone's eye. A 2024 Cadillac Escalade Sport, barely driven, with only 7,800 miles, listed for $12,400. Yes, a nearly brand new Escalade for the price of a used mid-range sedan. The first thing you notice isn't the price, it's the condition. Heated and ventilated seats, Super Cruise for hands-free highway driving, rear seat entertainment for passengers, night vision cameras, and a spotless maintenance history. No accidents, all records intact. The numbers are impossible. This Escalade originally sold for $90,000. Enterprise is taking a $70,000 to $80,000 hit on this single vehicle. And they're doing it on purpose. Every dollar they lose is a sign that Enterprise isn't pricing for profit, they're pricing for survival. This Escalade isn't a fluke. It's a flashing warning light. The world's largest rental fleet is cracking, and every luxury car sold at these prices exposes just how desperate the company has become. The Escalade is just the tip of the iceberg. Across the country, Enterprise is offloading vehicles that once defined luxury at mind-blowing discounts. Take the Lincoln Navigator Reserve, for example. Originally $88,000, now $13,000, only 9,000 miles. This flagship luxury truck is normally a statement of prestige, yet Enterprise is practically giving it away. The reason? High maintenance cost, coupled with weak rental demand they simply can't afford to hold on to. Then there's the Volvo XC90 Recharge, a plug-in hybrid that would appeal to eco-conscious and luxury buyers alike. MSRP was $75,000, price now $11,200. Almost full warranty, almost no miles, and yet cheaper than a used Corolla. The market is confused, and so is Enterprise's competition. European SUVs are no exception. The Range Rover Velar, originally $71,000, with 12,000 miles, is now $10,000. Enterprise massively overestimated demand for premium European models, and now they sit idle, bleeding money. Even electric vehicles aren't safe from the purge. The Tesla Model X Long Range, a $110,000 EV with just 8,000 miles, is being liquidated for $17,000. Enterprise's EV program collapsed faster than luxury SUVs. Maintenance concerns, charging confusion, and extremely low rental interest left them holding an expensive fleet nobody wanted. Every one of these sales tells the same story. Enterprise is desperate, and the collapse isn't hidden behind numbers anymore. It's right on the lot, screaming for attention. Luxury and electric, domestic and foreign, these vehicles are moving fast. Not because they're cheap, but because Enterprise can't afford to keep them any longer. Enterprise thought they were playing it smart. During the pandemic recovery, they doubled down on luxury vehicles. The plan seemed simple. Buy premium SUVs, high-end sedans, and EVs because business travelers would return, and rental demand would spike. But the world didn't follow their script. Corporate travel never bounced back. Zoom calls replaced boardroom meetings. Companies that once flew executives across the country realized they could save thousands by keeping people remote. Suddenly, all those luxury rentals meant for business clients were sitting idle. Enterprise expected planes and boardrooms to be full again, but instead, they were empty, leaving their high-end fleet collecting dust. Vacation travel changed too. Families who might have rented a Navigator or Escalade for a week-long trip now drove their own cars on road trips. Airport rentals dropped, and Enterprise's flagship vehicles were overkill for the new travel patterns. Even insurance replacement rentals, once a steady stream of moderate demand vehicles, fell by 40%. Cars that used to turn over quickly were now costing money just sitting on the lot. Electric vehicles were another misstep. Enterprise invested heavily in EVs, from Teslas to Chevys to Hyundais. But renters weren't prepared. People were concerned about new technologies, charging stations, and range. These vehicles barely moved, becoming a financial drain instead of an innovative investment. All of this left Enterprise in a bind. They couldn't sell slowly. Their enormous fleet came with massive floor plans. Interest piling up on every vehicle that sat unsold. The debt wasn't just inconvenient, it was stifling. Luxury vehicles that once promised profit became liabilities. Enterprise lost thousands of dollars every day they were idle. This wasn't a simple mistake or a few bad buys, it was a systematic failure. Enterprise bet the recovery would look like the past, but the pandemic rewrote the rules of travel. Their strategy didn't just fail, it exploded in their face, leaving a company that once dominated airport lots scrambling to convert inventory into cash. What we're seeing now, Escalades for $12,000, Teslas for under $10,000, it isn't random. It's the direct result of a corporate gamble gone wrong, magnified by debt and poor planning. The collapse isn't accidental, it's baked into the system. Enterprise's struggle to stay afloat is visible in every liquidation lot across the country. Every new low price, every luxury vehicle dumped, is a warning sign of how far they've fallen. Walking into an Enterprise liquidation lot today feels like stepping into a parallel universe. Vehicles that once called price tags well over $80,000 are now lined up with numbers that seem impossible. People are driving off in luxury SUVs, electric vehicles, and premium trucks for what most would spend on a 10-year-old economy car. Imagine getting a brand new, fully loaded Lincoln Navigator for less than $10,000. Barely more than a cheap sedan. The monthly payments are startlingly low. For someone who always assumed luxury was out of reach, it's a jaw-dropping experience. You slide into heated seats, touch the premium dashboard, and realize the car is practically brand new, yet your bank account barely noticed. These vehicles aren't stripped-down leftovers. They are fully loaded, with tech and comfort features that should cost them tens of thousands more. Then there are the full-size trucks and SUVs. People expecting to buy a basic work vehicle leave the lot with a GMC Yukon Denali, or a Ford Expedition that combines professional-grade towing capacity with high-end interiors. Suddenly, the vehicle can serve double duty, work during the week, family road trips on the weekend. The value is impossible to ignore, and buyers are realizing they're stepping into deals that don't happen in ordinary markets. Even electric vehicles are part of this phenomenon. Model X's, Teslas with autopilot, or plug-in hybrids that once seemed like aspirational dreams are now priced lower than many gas-powered sedans. Buyers are amazed to find their monthly fuel costs cut by hundreds of dollars while driving a high-tech EV that feels futuristic. With charging infrastructure improving and warranties intact, the purchase feels smart and practical, not just extravagant. Across the country, this pattern repeats. People who thought luxury, comfort, and advanced technology were reserved for the wealthy are suddenly part of the market that seems upside down. Low mileage, pristine condition, and a full array of features makes each purchase feel like a generational opportunity. What was once a dream for most car buyers is now an attainable reality. The shock isn't just the price. It's realizing that the company is selling these vehicles at such low numbers intentionally to generate cash fast. For those willing to act quickly and look beyond the sticker, Enterprise's miscalculation has created an unprecedented window to access cars that were previously untouchable. These aren't ordinary deals. They are a once-in-a-generation opportunity, and people are walking out of the lots realizing it. If you thought the luxury SUV liquidation was shocking, wait until you see what's happening with Enterprise's electric vehicles. EVs are dropping at prices that defy logic. Cars that sold for over $60,000 just a year ago are now going for less than $8,000. The numbers are almost unbelievable, but this is the reality of a fleet in crisis. Take the Polestar 2, for example. This sleek, sporty EV packed with cutting-edge tech and performance features originally sold for $55,000. Today, a new model with under 10,000 models can be had for just $6,300. Renters were wary of these unfamiliar vehicles, unsure about range or charging, so they hardly ever moved. For Enterprise, that meant a car that cost them a fortune was simply sitting and bleeding money every month. Now buyers who understand the opportunity are stepping in, scoring what amounts to almost a free luxury EV. The Mercedes EQB is another example of Enterprise's miscalculation. Originally, $64,000. This luxury electric crossover is now available for $7,400. Enterprise thought the demand for stylish high-end electric crossovers would match the appetite for traditional luxury SUVs. It didn't. Most renters simply opted for cars they were familiar with, leaving EQBs to pile up on the lots. Now savvy buyers are walking away with vehicles that combine Mercedes quality, comfort, and tech at a fraction of the original cost. And then there's the Genesis GV60, a high-end Korean EV designed to compete with premium European models. Originally priced at $68,000, it's now moving for just $7,800. Renters didn't understand the branch or its tech, and Enterprise overestimated interest. The GV60 is a striking car with advanced features, and yet it became one of the fleet's slowest movers. For those willing to research and act fast, it's another golden opportunity for a nearly new EV at a price that feels impossible. Even commercial electric vehicles are part of this meltdown. The Ford Lightning Pro, a powerful and practical EV truck, originally cost $56,000. Now it's being sold for $8,200. Enterprise expected commercial clients to adopt these EV trucks at scale, but the rental market didn't bite. Range concerns, charging infrastructure, and simple unfamiliarity kept these vehicles parked. Until now, when cash flow desperation forced prices into the stratosphere low zone. So why are EVs collapsing faster than any other segment? Several factors collided to create this perfect storm. Particularly in places with weak infrastructure, renters were reluctant to charge since they were unfamiliar with the technology. EVs are less appealing for short-term rentals because their insurance prices are frequently higher. Due to the slow turnover, cars sat idle for months, accruing maintenance and floor plan expenses. Combine that with Enterprise's pressing debt and need for immediate cash, and the result is fire sale pricing that wipes out traditional market logic. For buyers willing to navigate the process, this EV liquidation is once-in-a-generation chance. Vehicles with modern tech, high performance, and low miles are available at fractions of the original price. The only catch? You need to act fast before the best deals disappear, because once these EVs are gone, prices will snap back to reality. What's happening at Enterprise isn't just a fire sale. It's a high-stakes gamble that could backfire in ways most buyers don't see. When a company starts dumping vehicles at prices far below market value, it doesn't just hurt its profits. It can put the company itself in serious legal trouble. Lenders and creditors aren't blind, and they're watching every move. Selling multi-thousand-dollar vehicles for a fraction of their worth can trigger clauses in loan agreements known as covenants. These covenants are designed to protect lenders, ensuring that assets maintain enough value to cover debts. Break those rules and lenders can declare a default. A default doesn't mean the light immediately goes out, but it does give creditors enormous power. They could demand immediate repayment on loans that were originally structured to stretch over years. They might force Enterprise to restructure under strict terms, or even seize certain assets outright. Every car sitting on a lot, every luxury SUV that's been sold at a loss, counts as a strike against the company in the eyes of lenders. That's why Enterprise isn't discounting these vehicles for fun. They're trying to survive under crushing debt, and the law is a strict observer of every desperate move. Consider what happens if lenders act. Emergency refinancing might be required, often under far less favorable terms than normal. Interest rates could spike. Enterprise could be forced to sell additional vehicles, not out of choice, but because the company has no other option. In extreme cases, entire portions of the fleet could be seized, leaving the company scrambling to meet even basic operational needs. Every dollar lost in these liquidation sales is a dollar closer to potential legal and financial collapse. It's easy to think of Enterprise's liquidation as just an amazing deal for buyers, but behind the scenes it's a company walking a legal tightrope. These prices are extreme, yes, but they also reveal a company so over-leveraged that every asset has become a potential liability. Floor plan financing alone, the cost of borrowing to hold inventory is already draining cash daily. Combine that with tens of billions in loans and massive underused fleets, and the situation becomes clear. Enterprise isn't slashing prices to attract customers. It's slashing prices because it has no other choice. But for buyers, this is the paradox. The more desperate Enterprise becomes, the better the deals get. But for Enterprise itself, each sale at a $70,000 or $80,000 loss increases the legal and financial pressure. The company's fate is no longer tied to market conditions or competition. It's tied to whether lenders will tolerate the cash burn long enough for the liquidation to succeed. In short, these prices aren't just shocking, they're a warning. Enterprise isn't just discounting vehicles. Enterprise is drowning. The low prices you see today are the visible sign of a company fighting for survival, trapped between mountains of debt, unprofitable assets, and lenders ready to enforce the rules. Every Escalade, every luxury SUV, every electric vehicle sold for pocket change tells the same story. This is a liquidation born of desperation, and the stakes are enormous. Getting your hands on an $88,000 Lincoln Navigator for $13,000 or a nearly new Cadillac Escalade for a fraction of its original price is the kind of deal most car buyers only dream about. But while the discounts are jaw-dropping, walking into this situation unprepared can turn a golden opportunity into a headache. Knowing the right steps is key. First, skip the regular Enterprise lots. The real bargains live at their liquidation centers. Locations designed specifically for clearing inventory fast. These centers aren't widely advertised, and they're separate from standard rental returns. Visiting one of these is your best shot at scoring the steepest discounts before other buyers snatch them up. Timing is everything. Prices can drop daily, sometimes several times in a single week. Vehicles you see at $15,000 one day might fall to $12,000 the next. That means checking online listings regularly, and calling ahead to confirm availability is not optional. It's essential. Patience helps, but hesitating can cost you a deal. Not every low-priced vehicle is a perfect fit. For instance, high-performance German sedans or luxury sports cars could look alluring, but their maintenance expenses are renowned. If you're not prepared for expensive repairs and care, it's preferable to stick with SUVs, trucks, or mainstream luxury cars that have proven durability. If at all possible, bring a simple OBD2 scanner. This straightforward tool can check engine codes and assist in identifying problems that might not be visible during a visual inspection. Combine this with a thorough look at the service log printout, Enterprise keeps detailed records for every vehicle. Regular maintenance histories, accident reports, and mileage logs can save you from buying a car that'll cost far more than it's worth to repair. Financing is another critical step. Even though prices are insanely low, many vehicles sell quickly, sometimes within hours. Arrive pre-approved for a loan through a credit union or bank so you can act fast. You risk losing your ideal offer if you wait to obtain finance on site. Pre-approved financing levels the playing field, but cash purchasers have an advantage. Lastly, keep in mind that you're purchasing from a business that is in dire need of money, rather than a conventional dealer who is only interested in making money. Take advantage of this, but always verify the condition, supporting documentation and overall cost before signing anything. You can convert Enterprise's issue into your once-in-a-lifetime automobile opportunity by being prepared, being careful, and moving quickly. The chaos of Enterprise isn't going to last forever. What's happening right now, luxury Escalades, Lincolns, Teslas, and electric trucks being sold for a fraction of their original price, is temporary. Once the company takes its next steps, these fire sale deals could vanish almost overnight. One possibility is a merger with another rental giant like Hertz or Avis. Combining fleets could help Enterprise stabilize, but it would also mean slowing or halting liquidation. Suddenly, those $12,000 Escalades or $8,500 Teslas could disappear from the market as the company restructures and inventory is consolidated. Another likely scenario is bankruptcy restructuring. Enterprise is drowning in tens of billions of debt, and if lenders decide they've had enough, they could force the company into formal bankruptcy proceedings. That would immediately freeze liquidation sales. Any deals still available would vanish, leaving buyers who hesitated empty-handed. Enterprise could also decide to sell a massive portion of its fleet in bulk to other dealers or institutional buyers. In this case, individual buyers would lose access to the incredible discounts we're seeing today. Vehicles would no longer be priced for speed of sale cash flow. They'd be sold strategically to cover debts, which means the once-in-a-generation bargains would vanish. Finally, underperforming regions or locations may face closures, further concentrating inventory in certain areas. That could create pockets of availability, but the vast nationwide opportunity would shrink drastically. The key takeaway is that time is critical. The deals we're seeing, Escalades for $12,000, Lincolns for $13,000, and Teslas for under $9,000, are the results of enterprises' desperate need for cash. Once lenders step in, whether through restructuring, mergers, or bankruptcy, these prices will disappear. The fire sale's a fleeting window of opportunity, and hesitation could mean missing out forever. For buyers who are paying attention, this is a rare chance to access vehicles that were once completely out of reach. But it's not a game to wait on. The enterprise's demise is imminent. Every day that goes by, the best inventory is snatched up, and every car sold drastically narrows the selection. The future of Enterprise's liquidation is uncertain, but one thing is clear. These deals won't last forever. The company's next moves will dictate whether bargain hunters can score their dream car, or if they'll be left watching from the sidelines as the market stabilizes and prices snap back toward reality. $90,000 Escalades aren't supposed to sell for $12,000. Enterprise isn't offering bargains. They're gasping for cash. Which car would you grab first? Hit like, subscribe, and join us to catch every unbelievable deal before it's gone.